Hey guys, it's Free from the Gamersphere Network, and in this video we're going to take a look at the game predictions for the main event for the International 2015. So I watched a lot of the group stage matches, as many as I could. We've had a break from those for the last couple days now, and now we have the game predictions. So let's jump right into it. Let's look at this left side here in a single game. What are the predictions for most kills, hero with the most kills, hero with the most deaths, latest first blood, most Roshan kills, largest critical hit, and highest GPM? So for most kills, I'm thinking it's probably going to be around 81 to 100. Most of the games that I saw was focused mostly on team fighting and getting objectives and pushing your advantage. And there weren't a lot of games that went really late with lots and lots of killing, just bloodbaths. I think the most kills that happened was 26 or something like that, and that was on a gyrocopter. So for most kills, I'm going to go with 81 to 100 because I imagine um, with each team, there's 10 people, 10 kills per person roughly. That seems somewhat doable in some of these 60, 70-minute games that we've been seeing. For hero with the most kills, I'm going to go with gyrocopter because he's picked quite a lot, and he's a carry that as soon as he gets his ultimate at level 6, he wants to get a teleport or he wants to go to another lane and gank and he wants to get kills, and he has that giant AoE ult, as well as the multi-shot with the flak cannon and then the rocket barrage for early level kills. I mean, he's going to get lots of kills. Anyone who's able to get that hero and perform, they're going to get the top on that. Heroes with the most deaths. I was thinking about this for a while, and I didn't really know who to choose, but I think I'm going to go with Techies because we've seen Team Secret play Techies, and we've seen Complexity Gaming play Techies, and I think that if just one person gets Techies in the tournament, then they're gonna be suiciding. They're gonna be going for kills, and that's gonna be most deaths right there. Latest first blood. I just kind of guessed. I'm not really sure about this one. I figure that usually people get, level 6 at 6 minutes if you're mid lane or earlier, and then you try to roam and gank, and if that doesn't go well, and maybe you don't go, and it's just an early, passive farming game to start, maybe you won't see a first blood till 9, 11 minutes, something like that. As far as the Roshan kills, uh, the group stages, they didn't really seem like they were just going after Roshans over and over. It seemed like they were more focused on getting the objectives, like the towers and the barracks, and just pushing in those lanes. And yeah, if Roshan's up, and they can grab that, and there's no threat of the team counter engaging, then they go for it and get it. So I don't think that there's going to be anything like 6 or 7 or 8 or more Roshans. That seems pretty extreme. I think for maybe like a Cloud9 game or a Navi game that goes really late and they get those Roshans when they can, maybe 4 or 5. For largest critical hit, I sort of was looking at the data for this, and it seems that the best ones to pick are between the 800 and 1,000, all the way up to about 1,400, and then after that you want to jump up to around the 2,000s, because it all depends on if there's going to be anyone playing Tiny or Phantom Assassin or Ember Spirit, and if they're going to be getting a Daedalus and maybe a Divine Rapier or something like that. If games go really late, then you'll be seeing some 2,000 crits and stuff like that. But if you don't think that's going to happen, then you probably want to look around the 800 range to 1,400 range, roughly. That seems to be kind of the sweet spot for a generic hard carry build with a Daedalus and maybe a Battle Fury or something like that. So I think I'm going to go with. I originally had it up to 2,000 because we saw a lot of Rapiers bought in the group stage, and I actually think there's going to be some Rapiers bought in the final tournament. But I'm not quite sure whether or not we're going to be seeing Ember Spirit. In the group stages, it seemed like he either really excelled or he did really bad, and he wasn't picked that often, and I didn't see that many Tinies as well, or Phantom Assassins. But it only takes one game, right? So let's just stick with that. I think maybe one game. Well, it's so difficult because the game has to go late, and they have to pick up the Battle Fury or a Daedalus and a Divine Rapier to get that high, unless they just start stacking damage and strength. So let's go. Let's say they get close, but the game just doesn't go that late. So let's say I'm going to go with that. Or no, this one here. 1200 to 1400. Not the lower end with the 800 to 1000 where they don't actually pick up some of their other items. I think the game, maybe 50, 60 minutes, they grab something and get that. As far as highest GPM, um, looking at the group stages, the highest GPM made in the group stages was in the 600 to 700 GPM range, and it was on an anti-mage or one of those other high farming carries. But there wasn't any over 700, and there definitely wasn't any up in the 900 or 1000 range. So I decided that I'll just go one above what we've seen so far. So far, we've seen roughly around 600 GPM max, and maybe we get a game with a little bit more than that. Someone just snowballs really heavily on an anti-mage or something like a gyrocopter or maybe one of the mids as well. So that's my in a single game predictions. For the across all games and the qualifier predictions, I took some time and looked at the data on this as well. If you want to get some data, a good site to check out is dotabuff.com. They have a lot of analytics for the group stages. But for hero pick the most, I'm going to go with Queen of Pain because I've been seeing a lot of Queen of Pain, and it has been banned, but it seems like more often than not, the better teams won't ban it, and they'll just let the other team pick it, or they'll pick it for themselves, and then just play around that hero. For hero banned the most, I went with the analytics on this one, and I'm going to go with Leshrac. He had double the bans, almost double the bans of anyone else in the group stage. Teams just did not want to play against Leshrac. You get that Octarina core late game, and you just get that BKB, and then it just becomes very difficult to take you down because you just have so much sustain. You can last through all those team fights, holding the high ground as well. He's very versatile too. He can play in almost any lane. So I'm going to go with Leshrac on that one. Number of heroes never banned or picked. It just seems like they're in this meta. It's pretty open. I've been seeing just everything. There are those core pool of heroes that people have been picking, but there haven't been many that haven't been picked at all. Some, like maybe the Elder Titan, just never picked. Terrorblade, I don't think ever picked. Some of those other just really niche picks that you just don't really see because they don't really synergize well in this meta. So you could go with the lowest 0 to 5, but I think with Elder Titan, Terrorblade, Necrophos hasn't been played very much. That's 3 right there that have almost never been played in the group stages or in the wild cards or the play-in predictions as well. So I'm just going to go with 6 to 10 on that. Longest game time. I don't think we're going to see any super late games that are 2 hours long or anything like that. Teams have been pretty aggressive with pushing their advantages and going for the wins and pushing the high ground. So, there is some of those other teams that just happen to always find themselves in really late games where they either blow the lead with 20K or they're behind and then they make miraculous comebacks, like maybe a C9 or a Navi or something like that. So, or maybe even we have a really really even match and just both teams back and forth and just keep going and then get that team wipe and just that win right at the end. So, I'm going to go 71 to 80 minutes on that. Shortest game time, there's no way I think it's going to be any of these lower ones just because there's so much money on the line. I mean, 7 million for first place, like 4 million for second place, and it just, there's just so much money, and I don't think teams are going to want to give up. Not this early in the game, or they're not going to get just rolled over that fast. Teams will just turtle up and just try to hold as long as they can and hope for a miracle. So I'm going to play or pick 24 minutes or longer for shortest game time. For Rapier's bot, I actually, in the play-in predictions, I picked 1 to 3, and that actually was the correct value. But in the group stages, we've been seeing a lot more. We've been seeing a lot of teams pick up rapiers. So I'm gonna go with the 4 and 6 and just hope that some teams, commit to getting that big damage, because it seems, they boosted the damage to 330 to get people to start buying it more, and they weren't really buying it. And now in the group stages, there's been Ember Spirits that picked it up. Um, Someone picked it up and dropped it to a Razor at some point in one of the games. So it's possible that we'll be seeing more rapiers than we saw last year. Aegis is snatched across all the games in the qualifier. Probably not going to happen that much. It's a real risky play, and the only really good people to do something like that would be a Clockwork or like a Storm Spirit. And the amount of times you see those characters picked and the amount of times you see them dive in and sacrifice themselves, or two of them go in and they both die or they grab it, it's risky, because even if you go in, you got to time it perfectly and you got to pick it up before the other team grabs it, and they normally have all 5 of their heroes inside. So I'm going to go with 1 to 3 on that. So those are my main event predictions for the International 2015 tournament. You currently have 1 day and 12 hours left to fill in your predictions, and you can earn up to 100 opinion points for your correct answers. So make sure you fill it out before time runs out.